acknowledgement. Like they've tried to change it up over time. So it's actually quite interesting. Anyway, I'm glad that you guys are here. If you're here tonight, there's a huge possibility that your heart is broken. It could be from a loss, either recent or long ago. It could be from the breakup of a romantic relationship. It could be from a divorce. It could be from a feeling that your life is just not as happy or fulfilling as you'd like it to be. And regardless of the cause of your broken heart, you know how it feels. And I'm not here to tell you how it feels. Because at best, I can tell you, I know exactly what it felt like when my broken heart occurred. And it did not feel good. It did not feel good in any way. And there was a lot of misinformation out there. As I was going about the grief and try to figure things out, all I kept running into was a ton of misinformation. And here's the thing. I want to just say this before I get into the lesson tonight. There's still a ton of misinformation. There are lies out there. Like even today, just digging in. I don't go that often to the website on grief anymore. Not website, but onto the web on grief. And even there's still people saying that you're going to be like this for the rest of your life. It is the biggest lie ever told. It is one of the biggest lies ever told. And I think that as a humankind and as grieving women, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that more, and we need to get that word out. And I'm like over here, the lone little crazy lady, the lone little bald crazy lady trying to get that message across. So I'm glad you're here tonight. Tonight it's Wednesday night, and tonight is the courage to grieve. Tonight we actually talk about the courage that it takes to grieve. The courage that it takes to really, what the hell just happened? My phone went out. So if you're on Facebook, you still got me. Good thing you didn't hear me cuss. I don't think you did. The courage to grieve. What does it take to grieve? What does it take for us to move beyond the pain? What does it really take for us to move beyond the pain? And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, more than anything. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Courage to Grieve. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Sharon Brubaker, and I'm a grief specialist. I'm the founder of the Grief School. And the Grief School is the place where healing begins. The Grief School is the place where you can really dig down deep into your grief, figure out what your grief is, and really try to navigate through the grief, because that's where I give you all of my years of experience, what I've learned about grief, what has happened in grief, why grief feels the way that it feels, and why we have a ton of misinformation out in the world about grief. It's strange the way people are just not ready to move on or wanting to move on. So that's who I am. I teach you how to move through the pain and how to go after the exact pain that's in your heart. All righty. Hold on. I'm getting the TikTok set back up. The phone is not ready to do this. So I don't come with theories that sound good in textbooks. I actually come with my own life experience. It is my own life experience that I'm helping you navigate through this grief with, right? I come to you with lived experiences about a broken heart, about grief, about how that grief feels. That's exactly where I want to take you today. Let's see here. I don't know if I can do this. TikTok, maybe just out of luck for a minute. All right. So I come to you as a woman who fell on her knees the day that she got the phone call from her daughter about her nephew, Austin. I come to you as someone who knows the weight of pain. I come to you as someone who is mourning, who has mourned, who knows the pain of mourning. And today I want to talk to you about acceptance versus acknowledgement. And that's what we were talking about earlier this morning. Tonight, that's what we talked about tonight. But tonight I want to tie it back. I want to tie it back because one of the most dangerous lies about grief that you've ever been sold is that you can absolutely reach a thing called acceptance, and almost like you will have this release of your grief. I said, I hope that Becky is here She's probably in the TikTok. I probably just kicked her off. So let me go back to where I started. I actually did take a deep dive into Kubler-Ross, but I want to, someone's texting me like, hey, you got kicked off. Hey, you're no longer on the live. Have you ever felt the pressure from others to just accept your grief? Have you ever felt the pressure from others to just move on? What did that feel like in your body? What did it feel like when you heard those words? Here's the polished definition. Hold on one second, because hold on, guys. Okay, here's the polished definition the world loves to quote. The acceptance stage of grief is the final phase in which Kubler-Ross modeled, where an individual comes to terms with the reality of their loss. Listen to that. Where an individual comes to terms with the reality of their loss, finding a sense of peace and making plans to move forward. Finding a sense of peace and making plans to move forward, rather than struggling against the loss. That's what they're absolutely saying is acceptance, rather than struggling against the loss. This stage is characterized by acknowledging the finality of the situation and focusing energy on celebrating the life of the deceased or cherished shared memories. It's important to remember that this stage of grief are not rigid or linear process, and not everyone experiences them in orders. Sounds neat, doesn't it? Sounds clean. Sounds like you're going to move forward and have celebrating memories. But here's the truth. When your grief that feels like a demand, it feels like pressure, and you don't know how to navigate through it, it now becomes a feeling like failure for you because you don't know how to navigate through it. Guys, my phone went dead. I'm trying to get back on. Oh, is TikTok broken? No, I think my phone is broken. I'm trying to get back on. Thank you guys so much for joining me over here. I can't get the phone to hook back up. When you hear that definition, does it feel like something you want? Does it feel like, oh, I want to get to acceptance? I want to get to acceptance. That sounds like something I really want to be to. Or does it feel like someone is telling you what you should feel, and they're also telling you in a disguised definition how to move on? So they took the word acceptance and then they put all these flowery words in it, and they're like, but basically, girl, you need to move on. So let me break it down for you. Kubler-Ross's acceptance is framed as an end stage. So her acceptance looks like it's the end, the last stage. Okay? So number one, it's framed as the last step. It's the last step in her list of stages. It has the words that sound like move on. It sounds like move on. There's this implication of completion. It's sold as the finish line. You arrive to the finish line. I'm going to read it again, especially when I get back on the live. I'll read it again. This is the box you've been shoved into. We have been shoved into this box called stages. Mostly we've been shoved into this box called stages because that's what we wanted. We wanted something neat, clean, and easy to work through. We wanted that. Have you ever thought, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just accept this? Because I just don't see you accepting it. I'm sorry. I don't see you accepting it. I'm not accepting it. I just don't see how you're going to get there. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just accept this? Why can't I get there? Let's look at acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is what I'm talking to you about. Okay? And then I'm going to put them side by side. Number one, it's also framed, but it's framed as a starting point. It's framed as a starting point. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Number two, I'm so sorry, you guys. This is going to be great. Phone is dead. Baby's crying. I'm losing my patience. Thank you. I have no TikTok. Let's see if we can get it to work here somewhere. No, it's just not going to work. I can't. I know it's wrong. I'm in the wrong charger. Okay. Give me a second, guys. This is not the live that I was expecting today. And I had a really good day. I made videos today. I went on a walk today. I got up at 5 o'clock. I met with my assistant today. Everything was like timing out. I was excited to do this live. My last client, we met, and I was excited to do the live. So forgive me, guys. I got to take a breath. All right. Hey, Monette. My phone went dead, I think, and I need to change my glasses. I need to change my glasses. My phone went dead. My notes are crazy. All right. There we go. We're getting it together, you guys. Just give me some grace here. Send me some good healing energy. If you have a mind. Yeah, lady. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. All right. Suzanne says, something's wrong with your live on TikTok. Yeah, girl. Apparently you have to charge your phone if you want to use it. All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can get this work. All right. Sorry, you guys. I got the live going back. I'm going to start over. I even went on Instagram tonight, and I haven't been on Instagram in a while, and they're going to be like, she's a whack job. Sorry, Instagram. I think I'm on YouTube too. I want to start with Kubler-Ross's definition. This is the polished definition that is out for the world to see. Okay? That's where we're going to start. We started this morning with acceptance, the difference between, I think I'm going to do this in a side-by-side way. Okay? I'm going to do it in a side-by-side way. I think that way it'll make more sense. So we started out this morning talking about acceptance. Hey, everybody. Acceptance versus acknowledgement. Sorry for the difficulties. 23 minutes, but I'm here. Okay. Kubler-Ross's acceptance versus acknowledgement. So I was saying that I hope Becky is here because, girl, you sent me back to looking in the books for what she actually meant by acceptance. And so the acceptance stage of grief is the final phase in which Kubler-Ross models where an individual comes to terms with the reality, thank you, Sarah, of their loss. Finding a sense of peace. Comes to terms, did you hear me? You come to terms with the reality of your loss. So you just start accepting that this is what happened to me. I've come to terms with my loss. Here's the other thing. Do I think that this happens to people? That they finally just come to terms? Yeah. I think people finally just give up because they have no other choice. They have no other choice. So they finally just give up. They give up and they're just like, hey, yes, I will. And they're just like, this is the way it's going to be. I have no choice. This is the way my life is going to be now. That's, to me, is what it's like, comes to terms. Finding a sense of peace, making plans to move forward rather than struggling against the loss. So they're making plans to move forward, not happily making plans. They're just making plans to move forward. Okay. This stage is characterized by acknowledging the finality of the situation and focusing energy on celebrating the life of this deceased. So instead, yes, there she is. Instead of, girl, you wouldn't even know. I had a night getting on. It was just crazy. Instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to do, what I'm going to do to heal my broken heart, we start acknowledging the finality of the situation and focusing our energy on celebrating their life. Well, I'm just going to celebrate. So I think even the fact that they sent in this sentence that says celebrating the life of deceased, it's important to remember that the stages of grief are not a rigid, linear process, and not everyone experiences them in the order at all. I went back to take a deep dive because I wanted to see again what she says about acceptance based on Becky asking me the question. This sounds neat. It sounds peace. It sounds like we're moving forward. It sounds like we're celebrating the memories. But here's the truth. When you're in grief, that feels like a demand. It feels like pressure, and it feels like failure when you can't figure this out. Okay, so let me break it down for you. Kubler-Ross's acceptance, that's what I was doing. Kubler-Ross's acceptance, right? I'm going to do a side-by-side list as opposed to acknowledge, right? So for Kubler-Ross, acceptance is, number one, this is an end stage. It's at the end of the stages. You go through all of the stages, and then you get to this end stage, right? And the tone of this thing where she's talking about the peace sounds more like moving on. And here's the other thing. The reason you're moving on is because you're just tired. That's the way I perceive it. You're just tired. You're just like, I don't know what else. I'm just going to move on. And it has this implication that you've come to the end and it's complete. Right? It's sold as a finish line. You've made it. Now redirect your energy and go on and live with your life. It is sort of like, honestly, what Freud did in the 1920s. He was like, you're not going to get over this grief. You need to put the person out of your mind. Put the person out of your mind. Forget they even existed. Get rid of all their stuff and move on with your life. Like literally that fast is what they were teaching. But in acknowledgement, here's where the shift is narrower. It's a shift, but it's very narrow. It's very narrow what we're trying to get you to do, and it is the beginning stage. So we frame it as a starting point. So instead of it being the end stage, we acknowledge when we're ready that this has happened to us. I acknowledge that Austin is no longer here. I acknowledge that he is no longer here. The tone we have is truth. We must tell the truth. The tone we have is truth, and that truth is raw. Their tone is moving on. This is their tone. This is our tone. Okay? This has happened. My person is gone. I hate it. I am not pretending otherwise. I hate it. And there is no demand for closure. There's no demand for closure. You're not arriving at a finish line. You're barely just starting. And I'm going to tell you this. This isn't going to happen on day one. You're not going to acknowledge on day one. I would imagine you're nowhere near acknowledging till 6 months and beyond. Because 0 to 6 months, you're numb. You haven't even realized what's happened to you. Okay? You're not arriving at a finish line. You're opening the door to begin the work. You're refusing to stay in denial. Acceptance, Kubler-Ross, is a final phase tied to peace and moving on. Acknowledgement, my model, teaches the truth about loss without requiring you fake the peace or fake the funk. The foundation is that we're not at a final marking place. We're not here. This is almost like acceptance is like society wants us to get there. Society wants us to get there. So let's go over it again. Okay? Just real quick. Acceptance is an end stage from Kubler-Ross. She has a tone of moving on, almost like you're tired. And it is for you to complete. Even though I complete and be finished. That's where she is with acceptance. Acknowledge is just a starting point. It just means that you're open to the idea. You're willing to say he died. You acknowledge they're not coming back. The truth is raw. When we acknowledge, we tell the truth, and that truth is raw and it's ugly. And there is no demand for you to close the door, for you to become complete. That's the difference. That's the difference between acceptance and acknowledgement. Okay. Miss Becky, you made me go back to my school books, girl. In acceptance, what we learned is that the emotion they're vague. Since there's almost never denial or disbelief that a death occurred, we know that a death occurred. We know that a person is lost. The concept of acceptance is confusing, and it is moot. The college is when the hold on, I got to tell you what college did the study. There was a study done by Yale Bereavement. Hold on, Yale Bereavement Study. A Yale Bereavement Study was done. Asked grievers to assess the level of acceptance. They asked grievers to assess their level of acceptance they achieved about the death of someone important to them. It was a very odd question. It was a very odd question in their group because they had to have accepted the death occurred in order to be able to answer the question. The way they even put the question out was sort of strange. So here's the potential harm that they found from the Yale bereavement study. One definition of stages cannot fit all people. One definition of stages cannot fit all people or all relationships. In fact, we don't think they fit anybody. For example, here, I thought this was the great example. Here you are, Miss Becky. An 85-year-old woman whose spouse of 62 years old has died reports a different emotional picture about her life and response to the death than a 62-year-old woman whose father of 85 years has just passed. Both involve a 62-year relationship, but both identify differently with the stage of acceptance, and both are illogical, they said, when they're trying to put acceptance on it. Okay, that was a whole section that I studied out on Kubler-Ross when I went to school to get certified. So I had to dig that out. I had to dig that out for Miss Becky because she asked the question today. So I had to dig that out for her. So I hope that helps. Okay. Now I got late and then my phone was dead and then the baby was screaming. So here we go. Why does this matter? It sounds like semantics. I know it sounds like semantics, but it's everything. Because here's the truth. I will never accept that Austin drowned at the lake at 10 years old. I will never accept that my nephew drowned on Father's Day weekend because it wasn't fair. It is not acceptable. But I acknowledge I can stand here in front of you in the unbearable truth that he died. He's gone. My life is forever changed, and my family is forever changed. We are missing a major part of our heart. If you're tired of being handed this 5 stages, you guys can push back on him. You can push back on him. Absolutely. You do not have to accept him. As far as where I'm standing from, I don't think the stages ever went to our grief. So here's the part where most people miss when they don't get to acknowledgement. If you can't get to acknowledgement, my question to you are you resisting your emotions? Can you name the truth? Can you name the truth of your brokenness in your heart? Can you name what's really going on with you? We resist because we're scared. We resist because we're scared of the pain. We resist because we're scared of the pain and we're scared it's going to drown us. We're scared we're never going to stop crying. We resist because we're scared people will think that we're weak. And if you're resisting the grief, you're never going to be open to acknowledgement, my friends. So let me show you that. You resist. You resist because you're scared. Right? What did I say? You resist because we're scared. I'm going to draw a line to that. We resist because we're scared. We're scared of pain. We resist because we're scared of pain. We're scared we're going to cry. Never stop crying. We're scared it will never end. So we resist the grief because we're scared. We resist the grief because we're scared of the pain. We resist the grief because we think we're never going to stop crying. We resist the grief because we're scared the pain will never end. And we also resist the grief because we're scared we look weak. It goes on and on and on. And here's the deal. Here's the deal, and here's the biggest part of this deal that I want you to see. When you are resisting, when you are pushing back against the grief, because you are scared, because you don't understand it, because you don't want to talk about it, when you are pushing back and resisting, there's no place for acknowledgement in there. There's no place to acknowledge that you are in a grieving experience. There's no place to acknowledge it when you are so scared. But more than we're scared, you're resisting. How do you resist grief? Do you keep busy? How many times, I can't even tell you how many times grievers come in here and tell me, I'm just keeping busy. Are you overworking? Are you not leaving work at 5 o'clock? Are you taking all the extra hours? Are you taking all the extra hours at work so that you don't have to go home? Because every time you get home, you're reminded of it. Do you numb out? Do you numb out with wine, with food, with sex, with pornography, with television? Do you pretend that you're fine and you're okay? Are you lying about your grief? Are you lying about your grief? If you're lying about your grief, you're never going to get to acknowledgement. And remember, acknowledgement was the door. It's the doorway to moving on. Thank you, Miss Debbie. Resistance looks like overworking, overcleaning, over anything just to not have to think. Resistance looks like overworking, overcleaning, over anything. It looks like fake smiles. It looks like swallowing tears because someone told you it's been long enough. How dare they say that to you, too? How dare they say that to you? Resistance feels like control, but it's actually avoidance. So hear me out. I want us all to get to acknowledgement, but we all have to get there in our own time. I can't tell you when you, I can't tell you when you're going to be at acknowledgement. I don't know. Joanne says she keeps busy. She keeps busy. Tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of Gary Dale. Tomorrow? Oh my gosh, Miss Monette, my heart to yours. She says, I'm so tired and depleted. That says a lot about what we were talking about yesterday. Resistance feels like control. I'm sorry, Miss Monette, can I coach you for a second? Is that yes, ma'am, to right now? I got to stop you guys. Yeah. Okay. I love you. I love you, girl, more than anything. And I love your family. I love every bit of everything you've ever showed me and exposed me to with your family and introducing me to them. I want to leave with that. But I want to tell you, oh my gosh, listen, when I say the body remembers, the body remembers. For the last 2 or 3 weeks, you've been sick and you haven't been able to put a finger on it. You've been overly tired. She said, I know now. Girl, I just want to sit and cry with you. Your body was realizing that this anniversary is coming up. And I know you have a lot of thoughts about it. I know you have a lot of thoughts about it. But your body, you haven't been able to do the other work because of this. You haven't been able to do your other work because of this. Friends, Miss Monette's son's anniversary, 2-year anniversary is tomorrow. She's doing some other work. She hadn't been able to get the work done. It's been over 3 weeks and she's been resisting the work and pushing back. And she just kept saying, I don't know why. I don't know why I can't get it done. Well, this is why, my love. Truly, my heart to yours. Everybody, can we tap, 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 tap the screen for Miss Monette and for Gary Dale? My heart to yours, friends. It all makes sense now. So yesterday, we're sitting down and she and I are like Inspector Clouseau trying to figure out why she's feeling this way. I'm throwing out questions. She's answering them. Her head is laying on the couch like literally exhausted. When I tell you guys that the body remembers, it will remember. The muscle has memory. The muscle has memory. And that memory is going to respond before you even notice. Before you can even pinpoint what it is, it's already responding. It's trying to tell you. That's what we've been dealing with. What your body's been dealing with, all of this stuff. You even had a trip to the ER. Bless your heart, my love. Bless your heart. Just know that we're here for you. Know that we got you. Know that we see you. So glad you shared that. Why didn't you text me today? I would have gotten on the phone with you right away. I love you, friend. Okay. I'm going back. Sorry, guys. Wow, what a night tonight. Resistance feels like control. Resisting your grief feels like control. It feels like you're in control. How many times have people told me, I just keep busy. I just stay at work. I'm volunteering. I have to do all the things with the kids. Resisting feels like control. But in actuality, it is avoiding. You are avoiding the grief. You are avoiding the pain. You are avoiding any traps that you think that are there. Because you think grief doesn't vanish. And because you're avoiding, let me tell you, it's only going to fester. Where resistance shows up in your life, you can name the ways that you've tried to outrun this grief. Whenever you feel resistance, you can start naming all of the ways. No crying, working, not talking, sleeping, eating. I would even ask you, Miss Monette, how much resisting are you doing? How much exactly? You resist so you don't have to feel. Who wants to feel this? We resist so we don't have to feel. We resist so we don't have to feel. We don't want to feel sad. We don't want to feel broken. We don't want to feel the grief. Nobody wants to feel that. I know you don't want to feel it. Lemmy says this is so hard. It is hard, my love. It is hard. But here's the other thing. Hard does not mean it's not doable. Doesn't mean we can't do it. And doesn't mean that we can't do it together as a group. Right now, we're all here for Miss Monette right now. We're supporting her. We're holding her up. Tomorrow's going to be tough. She didn't realize it was coming. And that's what happens to a lot of us. We don't realize the day is coming, and then the day just shows up. Where has resistance shown up in your life? Can you name one way that you've tried to outrun it? You cannot heal what you refuse to face. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. It is not about acceptance. You don't just accept it and move on. I was a workaholic for 15 years. Think about that. We're going to get into that, EK. It's not about acceptance. It's about acknowledging and processing so you don't have to stay stuck. It's about acknowledging your grief and processing so you don't have to stay stuck. Resisting equals not feeling. But what we're trying to get to is we want to open the door. We want to open the door. And the way that you open the door is you simply acknowledge. You simply acknowledge that there's grief. This happened, and it sucks. My heart is broken. My heart is broken. Resisting equals not feeling. Oops, I need to put not feeling. Well, I did right here. Resistance equals not feeling. When we acknowledge, we open the door. We open the door to starting to feel. We tell our truth. We tell our truth when we acknowledge this happened. It sucks. It feels really bad. My heart is broken. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. But you at least open the door. You open the door to walk in and you start processing. You start processing the grief. Now, I have a program called Processing the Pain of Grief. I absolutely have a program called Processing the Pain of Grief. And it is a program where I walk you through how to grieve. I walk you through how to grieve. But here's the deal. Here's one of the deals that Erica and I realized, especially after Austin died. I'm sure this happened. I'm sorry, after Donovan died. I'm sure it happened after Austin died. It just wasn't so visible to us. Here's the deal. A lot of times, we come upon a grieving experience. We've lost our person. We are dealing with the business of grief. We're dealing with the business of grief. We got to go to the funeral home. We got to get the death certificate. We got to make the calls. We got to call the bank. We got to close the checking account. The business of grief. And every time we show up to do one of these tasks, we cry. Our heart feels broken. We're sad. We are grieving. The funeral happens. People show up at the funeral. They give us hugs. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Then you see somebody who was his best friend. And when you see that best friend, that breaks you down. And then you see his cousin, and that breaks you down. Just about the time the funeral's over, you're like, oh, so glad that's over. And that's when the grief hits. That's when it hits. When the funeral is over and those people leave and people aren't bringing you casseroles anymore, that's when the grief hits. That's when you start feeling it. That's when you start feeling this grief energy. Right? But this feels negative. This feels bad. You were crying. You were crying at the funeral. You were crying as you're doing the business of grief. Processing grief means that you allow the negative emotions to be there. You allow the negative emotions to be there. Whatever shows up for you, you let it be there. And get that grief out from your stomach your gut. It's got to come all the way up from your gut. A lot of times what happens to us, why we're not completely processing all the way through, is because we'll do a surface cry. We will do a surface cry. Somebody will tell us, will ask us about our person, or we will see their favorite color, or we will see a letter that they wrote, or we see their name written on a piece of paper, and we do this little thing where, we start to cry, and then we resist, we pull back. Processing means you allow it all the way through. I promise you guys, this is a 4-week class. I'm only touching the surface on this. I promise you that this is probably what is happening to most of you. Grief is a broken heart. Grief is happening in our heart. Grief is the negative emotions that are happening in our heart. Grief is not happening in our brain. Grief is not our thoughts. And for most of you, you are grieving from here. You are not grieving from here. When you grieve from here, you can feel it coming from your gut. Like you can get out that processing. When you go to the store and you see his favorite jar of barbecue sauce sitting on the shelf, and you got your cart and you look over and you see that barbecue sauce and tears start to fall, that's crying. That's relieving pressure. When you get home and you put all the groceries away and then you think about that barbecue sauce, sit your butt on that couch and cry it out. Think about that barbecue sauce. Think about how he was using the barbecue sauce. Think about how much you miss those barbecues. Sit on the couch and process it all the way through. But here's what happens to us. We start to feel some of the grief pain and then we cut it off. We change the subject. We call our friend. We go to work. We pick up the dirty dishes. We go do laundry. The minute we feel this pain, we go do something. For a lot of you, you can get out a little bit. But when you process, when you stop resisting, you're actually getting out the grief. You're processing the grief all the way through. Here's the other thing. Before you can even do the work, you've got to process. Now, some of the things that are happening to you are your thoughts. I can't do this. I won't make it. I don't want to be here. You guys have all thought these thoughts. And what happens is when we get these thoughts, we stay in the thoughts. We don't realize that every single one of these thoughts is causing these emotions that are happening here. But because emotions feel so bad and nobody ever told us, hey girl, you got to do this processing. You got to get down to the bottom of it. We go just to the surface and we leave it there. We go just to the surface and we leave it there. My friends, when I tell you that there is absolutely a way out of the grief pain, and if it is done properly, and if you go after it, you can remove the knife that is sticking out of your heart. I'm telling you that. They have lied to us. They have lied to us for years. EK says, I didn't know how to feel my feelings until just a few years ago. EK, I want to tell you that also sometimes I have to slow down. Even now that I teach this, I have to slow down and ask myself what I'm feeling. I have to slow down because sometimes hey, I'm a be strong girl. I got this. I'm going to figure this out. I'm a be strong girl. And I have to slow my ass down and go, Sharon, what is this? Why are you feeling this way? What were you thinking? I still have to coach myself through it. You guys still have to coach yourself through it. Debbie said, I'm still in shock at the funeral. Yeah, I believe that, Miss Debbie. I believe that. That's part of the work we're going to do together. We're going to get in there. Bella Red says, it sure does hit quick and fast. Drill Sergeant Surgeon here for duty. Thank you for getting me together. Oh my gosh, girl. Feeling your emotions comes from processing the pain of grief. When you learn how to process your emotions, first of all, you need to understand what emotions are. What are emotions? Where do they come from? Right? So we need to understand this about the emotions. We need to also understand what is a thought. What is a thought? Okay, that's the first thing about processing the emotions. Processing the emotion can be done in a couple of different ways. You can talk through the emotions. You can talk them out. You can talk them out. This feels really bad. My heart feels so sad. I don't understand why I feel this way. But today I was in the grocery store and I saw his favorite jar of barbecue sauce. You can talk to somebody. Now listen to me. You can talk through your emotions. You can talk how you're feeling. But the person that you're talking to has to show up in a certain way. And that certain way is that they have to listen. They have to use their ears, not this. They have to just listen so that you can talk it out. And that's why talk therapy works so well, because we go into therapy and we sit with our therapist and we talk about it. And I love talk therapy for that reason, because they know how to listen and they know how to ask the right questions, right? So that's one. We can talk it out. We can sit in and feel it. We can cry it till there's no more cry. Let the snot run down our nose. Roll up in a ball. Cry, 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 cry. Cry it. Cry out for the loneliness. Cry out for the sadness. Cry out for your life. 2, you can cry it out. You can journal it. A lot of people like to journal it. We can journal it out. So we can cry, we can talk, we can journal. We can sit in it. Number 1, we can sit in it. That is the number 1 easiest thing to do. Here's me at the grocery store. Oh my gosh, Sweet Baby Ray's. That was his favorite barbecue sauce. My dad loved that barbecue sauce. And I turn around and instead of walking away, I sit here by the barbecue sauce and I say, this makes me sad. I'm going to sit in the sad. I'm just going to let the sad be here. I'm just going to sit in it. You can sit in it. But most of us come upon the grieving experience. We look at the Sweet Baby Ray's, and instead of letting the sad be there, the heart feels the sad. It does what it's supposed to do, but then we go running down to the cereal aisle. We go running down to the cereal aisle. My dad, I don't know if he likes Sweet Baby Ray's. That was the only name of barbecue sauce that I knew, so I threw it out there. I'm glad your husband loves it. It is what I use, but yes. Thank you. That was so cute. We don't just sit in it. We change the subject. We go to work. We pick up the phone. We start scrolling on the internet. We go on TikTok because I'd rather see somebody dancing than process the pain of my broken heart. I'd rather see somebody dancing and telling terrible stories. I'd rather look at politics than decide what's going on with my broken heart. Friends, you got to feel it to heal it. Okay, here's something that I teach in the class also. This is something that I teach in the Forever Change Grief Healing. We came here with the ability to feel emotions. We could feel them all. We could feel good and bad, sweet and sour. We can feel positive and negative emotions. We always knew how to do them since we were a little baby. But we came here, whether you guys say it's God, universe, source, however you say, that's not where I'm going with this. However you say, you had the ability to feel your emotions. We live in a 50-50 world. We feel emotions 50% positive, 50% negative. But if I tell you this, no one told us, hey, it's okay to feel negative emotions. Why? Why haven't they told us that? Because they didn't like feeling them. My mom and dad didn't like feeling them. I'm sure my grandparents didn't like it either. I don't blame my parents. I don't blame my grandparents. It has just been passed down over time, over time, over time. Negative emotions are bad. And so we don't feel them. But here you are, a griever who's come upon a grieving experience, and you have to live and feel these negative emotions, and you've never been taught how to do it. And you know what happens? You keep trying to get to positive. You try to make positive, reinforce your grief with positive thoughts, positive things. Let's look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. My person has just died. There is no bright side. Yes, cereal is funny. There is no bright side. My person just died. What bright side am I looking on? But everybody that comes in the room, they're trying to get you over here too. At least he's no longer in pain. At least he's no longer in pain. Be happy you had him so long. Be happy you had him so long. Seriously? Be happy you had him so long? Clipper 23, hold on 1 second. Be happy you had him so long? Are you kidding me? No, I don't want to be happy. I want him here with me. I want my dad to see my grandchildren. I want my grandchildren to know my dad. I want Austin to be the big cousin of these kids. This is where courage comes in. Tonight is the courage to grieve. And every Wednesday night from now on, I'm going to be breaking down the courage to grieve. And this is where courage comes in. Grieving takes courage. Grieving takes courage because it demands to be felt. Grief demands to be felt. I'm sorry, you guys. You cannot go through these stages. You cannot just sit in a room and pretend like everything is okay. Grieving takes courage and it demands to be felt. It demands that you feel it. Courage looks like crying without apologizing. Cry your freaking eyes out. Courage looks like screaming into your pillow, screaming out whatever comes up. Courage looks like journaling the ugliest thoughts you've ever had. Courage looks like sitting in silence in the pain when it's heavy. Courage looks like saying it out loud. My person is gone, even when it shatters you. It looks like saying that. What emotion are you most afraid of feeling? I want you to ask yourself that. What emotion are you most afraid of feeling? What emotion are you most afraid to let yourself feel? Is it sadness? Is it anger? Is it guilt? Is it regret? Is it loneliness? Is it the grief overall? The pain. Sonia says the pain. Here's the other anxiety. Julie says anxiety. Here's the other thing that we know to be true. We know that it is hard for us to even sit in an emotion for longer. Believe this, you guys. It's hard for us to even sit in an emotion for 1 minute. Even if that emotion is happy. We can stay in happy a little bit longer because our thought, we feel the happy. I can feel happy right now. We feel happy and then our thoughts turn to happy and then we can go a little bit longer. We want you to try to stay in the emotion for 1 minute to 90 seconds. Try and hold on to sad for 1 minute. The minute you feel it, I want you to just hold on to the sad for 1 minute. But here's the deal. You've got to be able to name the emotion. You got to be able to name the emotion. So we need to know what the emotions are. And that's where we start here. We start in the emotion. Debbie says, yes, all of it. You don't want to feel any of the negative emotions. Miss Debbie, do me a favor. Give me one emotion that you don't like feeling. Give me one emotion that you don't like feeling. Just name one. Sad, mad, glad, fear, afraid, embarrassed, frustrated, regret. Clipper 23 says ignored. I don't want to feel ignored. I got it. I hear you, friend. I absolutely hear you. Grief is not just emotional, it's also physical. So Suzanne says empty. Yeah, that's deep. When you start to feel empty, your body starts to feel it. Your chest starts to tighten. Sometimes our hands can shake. Our stomach gets in knots. Hear me out. I want to go through this whole scenario. You start to feel an emotion. It's sad. You feel sad. You just had a thought. You just had a thought about your husband. Your chest starts tightening. There's this knot in your stomach, and your brain gets kind of foggy. And that's where most people change the subject. They change the subject. Instead of going, oh, here comes the grief. The more you resist, the heavier this emotion's going to get. So what am I saying by that? The heavier this grief is going to get, the more we resist. So at 9 o'clock, it's 9 a.m., you wake up and you're sad. But you don't feel it because you got to get the kids off to school. You're doing all the things. At 11 a.m., you're watching the morning news and now you feel sad. But you don't feel it because you're watching the morning news and you got to go do some other stuff, right? At 3 p.m., you feel sad. But you don't sit in it because you got to go get the kids from school. You keep having these thoughts about your person, and every time you have these thoughts, the sad comes up, and the sad is just growing. It's just growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And now tonight, it is 9 p.m., 12 hours later, and you have not stopped to feel the sad. And your husband comes in and he says, why didn't you take the trash out? He looks down at the trash and he says, why didn't you take the trash out today? And you turn around and you open holy hell on him. You open holy hell on him about that trash can. And bless his heart, it had nothing to do with him. Instead of resisting what you've been doing all day, you've been resisting the sad, now you are reacting. You're reacting by yelling, screaming, cussing. And he's like, whoa, I only asked you about the trash. Right? The truth is, since 9 o'clock this morning, you could have processed that sad. But you chose not to process the sad. You chose to hold on to it. You chose to hold on to it and drag it all throughout the day. And then the first person that walks in gets it. They get smacked with it. But hear me out. That's your husband. You feel comfortable with him. It also happens at the grocery store. It happens with the bank teller. It happens with your best friend. You take it and take it and take it until you can't take it anymore, and it spills out on somebody. I've told this story a million times, but I got to keep telling it because this is exactly it. Not recently, but earlier in the year, I was watching a TikTok where somebody was driving along the freeway, and it was a woman, and you can hear her talking in the background. She has her camera up, and she's like, oh my gosh, what's going on with this guy? So apparently, she was on the freeway. She was driving down the freeway, and this guy stopped. He got a flat tire. She was behind him. It was that one little drop. It was that one little drop that he could no longer take because he'd been feeling sad and sad and sad and sad and sad. He got a flat tire. He got out of the car and proceeded to beat the holy hell out of his car. He had something in his hand. He broke the windows. He broke all the windows. He walked around the car. He broke all the windows. He was beating on the car. She was sitting there recording it, sort of making fun of him, and she posted it on social media. When I tell you, I felt so much empathy for that guy. If I would have seen him, I would have gotten out of the car, and hopefully he would have let me near him, and I would have wanted to give him a hug. I don't know that I would have tried right then and there, but I might have got out and just sat on the top of my car and started talking to him. Because think about this, friends, and I don't know his story, but let's make up his story together. His dad died last year. His dad died last year and left him with his mom who has Alzheimer's, who is bedridden. He was getting paid for taking care of his dad through the state, but he's not getting paid for his mom. So he lost his full-time position, his money, his income and money. He doesn't want to leave his mom, but he doesn't qualify to get paid to take care of her because she's his stepmom. And so he has to go find a job. And he's been looking for a job and looking for a job. He's run out of money and he's run out of food. He's no longer able to bring food in the house. Mom's okay because she has Medicare, right? Mom's okay because she has Medicare, right? He's been sending out resume after resume after resume. They're going to come in and take the house back. He's going to have to put his mom into a home, and he promised his dad he's not going to put his mom into a home. But on the way to the job interview that he finally got, which is at a Home Depot 45 minutes away from his home, on the way there, he got a flat tire. He gets out of the car. He beats the shit out of the car because it's the one drop that he can no longer take, because he has spent all of this time resisting his grief, just like we all do. And at that last moment, he's now reacting to his grief. So friends, when you say, I'm going to take you back to acknowledgement, when we acknowledge that this thing has happened to us, when we're ready to tell the truth and we acknowledge that this thing has happened to us, then we are ready to open the door to start learning about this. I promise you, when you guys come back, when you guys first came in here, some of you were not ready to hear this, but something intrigued you, and so you decided to come back. It reminds me of the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Oh my gosh, I got to go look at that again. Some of you weren't ready to hear it, but some of you, when you are acknowledged, you're ready to hear this. You can take in the information. Friends, when I tell you this, that they did us dirty, they have done us dirty with grief. They have lied to us about grief. They told us that we were going to be like this for the rest of our life. It is a lie. It is absolutely a lie. It is the grief that we have to go through and work through. Grief is not just emotional. It is physical. It is a tight chest. It is stomach knots. The more you resist, the heavier it gets. But the moment you feel you can even breathe, your body exhales. Let me show you a different way. These are my friends. They've been grieving with me for a while. And at 9 a.m., they feel sad. She has to take her kids to school. So she gets in her car. Can you see this? She gets in her car and she runs the kids to school. But when she comes back, she doesn't turn the TV on. She goes into her grief corner that she has set up for where she's going to grieve. And she goes in there, she gets pictures of her son who has died. And she pulls out those pictures and she looks at them. And she cries. And she cries the deepest cry that she can. And she allows that emotion to move through her. When she is done with the cry, she grabs her journal and she starts to write about it. She does a brain dump of what she's feeling. And all of that takes 20 minutes. Grief has come out of her heart. She has resisted. She has released. She's released the grief. It took all of 20 minutes. She got up and she feels like crap. I didn't say that you're going to feel great. She really feels like crap. But throughout the day, it's 3:00. She goes to pick the kids up. The kids come home. They're in a really good mood. She's really happy. She made red beans and rice, her husband's favorite dinner. He comes home. He sees the trash isn't done. And he says to her, honey, why didn't you take the trash out? And she's like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot. I'll get it after dinner. They sit down to the table. They eat his favorite meal. They enjoy. She still is feeling very heavy. She goes to sleep that night, but the next morning when she wakes up, she feels a little bit lighter. She feels a little bit lighter. She has a little bit more energy to attack the grief again another day. That's the difference. And you process over and over and over again. You process over and over and over again until you come to the grief school. And once you come to the grief school, then I get in here with you and I look at all of this with you and we start to break it apart. But you know how to do the grieving. The more you resist, the heavier it gets. But the moment you feel, even for a second, your body exhales. And that's the beginning of acknowledgement, my friends. That's you acknowledging. If you're nodding your head right now and you're like, yes, Sharon, right on, you really got this, then I want to invite you guys to Grief Study Hall, which is on Tuesdays. It says Tuesdays at 1 p.m. It's a community outreach. I'm giving it back to you guys. It's every Tuesday. Please come and hang out with us. It is the perfect place to grieve. We talk about it openly. We talk about shame. We talk about a broken heart. We talk about this. We go deeper in this. But you're actually getting to see me face to face. The more you resist, the more it persists. The more you feel, the more you heal. Look at you. You're a poet. Oh my gosh, girl. That is true. That is so true. Okay, hold on real quick because I promised somebody. Clipper 23. I want you to go to the link in my bio. I want you to click on my picture. Then click on my picture again because it's going to show up twice. And then click on the link that says click here for hope. I want you to go there and find something that's called That Grief Shit. And I want you to download it. It is a free ebook that I'm giving to you. It has a 9 email series that's going to come out every day for the next 9 days. You're going to receive an email. In that email, one of those emails is something called a brain dump. It is a form of journaling. It is not the only form, but it is a form of journaling. And I want you to get that, and I teach you how to do it in there. That's number one. Second thing, while you're already in there, join the Facebook group called the Grief School. Why? Because at the Grief School, I post a question every single day. I post a question every single day. You can grab that question and journal it out for yourself. Or you can answer it right in there. It is a form of journaling. So I hope that helps, my love. All of my other programs all have journals that go along with them. Let's come back to courage. Because this tonight is called the courage to grieve. It takes courage to say, I don't accept this loss. It takes courage to say, and I don't have to either. It takes courage to say, I acknowledge it happened and this hurts like hell. It takes courage to say, I'm going to stop resisting. She's right. I got to stop resisting. EK is right. We got to feel this, even when it terrifies us. I want you guys thinking about one small courageous step you can take for yourself. So let me call it out. You don't need to reach acceptance. You do not need to reach acceptance to be a good griever. You don't need to settle into peace to wrap your grief into a neat bow. Oh, let me just settle into peace. Because some days you're going to have peace. Some moments you're going to have peace. But other days you're going to have crap. What we need, my friends, is courage. The courage to feel. The courage to stop resisting. And the courage to acknowledge. That's what real grief work looks like. If tonight resonated with you at all, a couple of things. Go get that ebook, That Grief Shit. Number 2, join the Facebook group. Follow me here. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. Come and sit with us in Grief Study Hall every Tuesday at 1. And we go deeper. I promise you we go deeper. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here tonight. I'm sorry that it was such a crazy night. But you know what? You guys make me feel comfortable. You make me feel like I can do this because we're friends. So I know you guys got it. I know you guys got it that I'm a crazy person running around here, but I know that you got it and you understood that it was just crazy here. My phone went dead. I didn't realize my phone was going dead. I plugged it in with the wrong charger. The baby was screaming. I had to go tell Brittany, you got to go get your baby. It was just crazy. Joanne says, how do you know if you have accepted the grief versus acknowledge it? So I think that if you think you accepted it, that you're okay with it and you're just ready to move on. You're not going to do any work. This is what it's going to look like. Great question, Joanne. If you've accepted it, you're like, okay, I'm going to play it out. Well, Austin drowned. You know, we're just a family with bad luck. We're just going to be a family that's where we are. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to discuss it anymore. I'm just going to move on with my life. Some people, when they get in, they've accepted it, they move, they sell their home, they change everything in their life. They buy a new car, they quit their job, they move from everything that they once knew, and they change everything. They take everything in their life and they turn it upside down. Because acceptance, meaning that you're going to forget your child, you're going to forget his name, you're going to move on, and you're just not going to mention him anymore. If you say it out loud that they died, is that acceptance? No, that's the truth. That's you telling the truth. If you say it out loud to another person, that's just you telling your truth. I say that Austin died. I say Donovan died. I say it all the time. I tell my truth. This is also part of one of the major controversies that we're having in Grief Study Hall is the difference between passed away and died. And I know that's not what you're asking here. But if you tell somebody that your person died, that's not acceptance. That's more towards acknowledgement, because that's telling the truth. Acceptance, I think acceptance is more, you don't tell people. You don't tell people. You don't tell people that that they died. It's too hard. Sometimes we can't say the word died, and so we'd rather say the word passed on, and that typically happens in the beginning. It's also where I kind of judge where you are in your grief. I can judge where you are in your grief if you're refusing to use the word died, if you're still on using the word passed on. It's just one of the things that I picked up. I couldn't say died in the beginning. I had to say passed on. Fly Girl says, I still have trouble using the D word. If we're using the word died, we're telling the truth. We're telling the truth. It kind of tells me where it's at. I don't want to say died either. I didn't want to say died either because I didn't want to accept that. I couldn't accept or acknowledge that he had died. And I was like, I'm not saying that. EK says, I hate saying the word X. That's your equivalent to it. Cindy says, I find people trying to make it better by saying, but you know that he died, right? Is that he died? You know that he passed away. Yeah, I know. I know every single day. I know every minute of the day. You all know that they died. For the ones that are here with death, we all know that they died. Do we have to say that they died? No, but it is on the scale of where you are in your grief. It is a form of resistance. Sorry, excuse me. It is a form of resistance. When you're not ready to say died, it is something that you can hold. It's something you can control. It's what I can control right now. I can control this word. Because there's nothing else in this world that you can control. But you can control this word, and you will. And it is hard to say. I'm not lying. It's hard to say. It is hard to say that he died. It's not just hard to say it. It's hard to feel it. It's hard to acknowledge it. Courageous was the word I picked on in NYE for 2000 and New Year for 2025. Oh my gosh, look at you. Bellarette says, I admit that my heart is broken. Cindy says, thank you. Those questions are hard sometimes. They are hard. Hey, Miss Tracy. I am, Bellarette, I am. I'm actually doing it right now as we speak. There's no crazy person. All I see is a wonderful woman. It is what it is, energy. Accept it to me. It is what it is. Yeah, it's sort of like that. It is what it is, energy. EK says when you accept, it's sort of like this. Well, it is what it is. I hate that. I hate that. I said both tonight in the same sentence. So that's good. That shows me that you're starting to shift. Because I think you said last night it was 16 months, Joanne. It's been about 16 months. So it's starting to shift a little bit. You're starting to go in, you get more comfortable saying died. Friends, if you want to say passed on, say passed on. I'm just telling you. Thank you, Sharon. You helped me so much. My heart to yours, Miss Debbie. My heart to yours and to Summers. It's hard to hear. It is hard to hear. I hate the phrase, it is what it is. I hate it too, because that is a form of total resistance. Okay. Died is a tough word to say at first, because when we say died, right? There's two forms of grief. There's intellectual grief and there's emotional grief. In the beginning, we are mostly in the intellectual grief. We are mostly in the intellectual grief. Hey, Miss Tracy, hold on, please. 1 second. I didn't get to read your comment. Most of what we're doing in the beginning is trying to protect ourselves from feeling anything, especially negative emotions. And what we're trying to do in the beginning is stay in our brain. The more we stay in our brain, the less we stay in our heart. Clipper, did you just hear my directions to you? Go in the link in my bio. Click the link that says, click the picture, and then click the picture, and then click the link that says click here for hope. You're going to download the book that says that grief shit. In there, you're going to get 9 emails with a video in them every day. I teach journaling. I teach brain dumping in there. You also want to go to the Facebook group and join the Facebook group. I post a journal question in there every day. Monette says, I force myself to say died every day. I have forced myself to say die. Clipper 23, does that help? So the brain doesn't want, the brain thinks it's protecting the heart. The heart doesn't want to say died. Every time you hear this word, it's like the knife goes deeper into the heart. Because when you hear the word died, it sends an emotion to your heart. The emotion is probably sadness. It's probably even deeper than sadness, but I can't think of deeper than sadness right now. It's broken. And it's fear. Look at that. He died. Boom, I got an emotion. I got sadness. I got broken. I got fear. And I'm scared. And I don't like the way that feels. When I hear the word died, I don't like the way it feels. Suzanne says, died emphasizes the finality. And then it becomes, you're right. But that's what happens in the brain. So then the brain hears died, and you start to think he's gone. He's never coming back. And this is what was happening for me. I would say the word died, And I didn't want any of this shit. I didn't want any of these emotions, and I didn't want any of those thoughts. So guess what I did? I just stopped saying the word died. I didn't say the word died anymore. I said, I'll send this pass on. Passed on. It's softer. It's gentler. It's easier. I could slide into it a little bit easier. It didn't send all the emotions to my heart. I accept passed on. You accept passed on. You understand what I'm saying? It sounds more respectful. It's accepted better by society. Society accepts it. He's passed on. Whereas he's died sounds, like she said, final, tough, hard. You can say whatever you want, my friends. You can say whatever you want. She said, Flower Girl says it's not as harsh. But death and died are the truth. We have to tell the truth about ourselves always in grief. And death and died are the truth. I hate to say loss. Death and died are the truth. Pulverized. Okay, you did hear that. Okay. One of the other, some of the other journals that I have coming out, they should be coming out really soon, are This is Grief, The Courage to Grieve, that shit is coming out. Those are all coming out. Those are all journals. And the Brain Dump Journal. Dump That Shit is coming out as well. So I'm going to be having more. I may actually do a journaling class. Why don't we do a journaling here? Died emphasizes the finality. I'll do a journaling class. Tomorrow we're going to be teaching Grieve That Shit. Maybe I'll do journaling in there. Why don't you come back tomorrow night? I'll do journaling. It's harsh, like being stabbed. Yeah, because you have to admit, you have to get your brain and your heart to line up on the same page to say he died. She died. He died. Your brain and your heart have to be on the same page in order for it to kind of ease through. Dump that shit. Yep. It's coming. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the craziness that went on tonight. Bring your boots. You're going to need them. And bring something to stuff up your nose. All right. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. I'm going to go live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with a little teaser. We're going to do journaling. In honor of Clipper23 being here, who I've never seen in this group before, we're going to teach journaling tomorrow. I'll do a little a teaser tomorrow morning on journaling at 9 a.m. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we're going to do Grieve That Shit. Tomorrow night, Thursday, is Grieve That Shit. And we're going to do oh, you emailed me that. It won't let you type in the empty boxes. Okay. I didn't see that email, but I will check. Miss Joanne, I'll reach out to you, my love. It won't let you type in the empty boxes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to work on that. I got to write that down. Becky, were you here when I said that I had to go back to school and pull that up, pull out my book on Kubler-Ross? Girl, you made me do homework. Empty boxes. I got to tell Jovi that. EK said, let's do it. So a grief storm, which I haven't done in a while, I did it back, is what happens when the grief just becomes so overwhelming, when you haven't done any work on your grief, when you continually resist and resist and resist, you can get hit with a grief storm. So in a couple of weeks, I'll do that. We'll do, in a couple, maybe next week we'll do grief storm. Cindy says it still takes the info. Yeah, no, Becky, I was actually laughing. I'm like, she better be here tonight. She made me pull this book out. Honor Society is tomorrow. Yes, Miss Debbie, Becky, Suzanne. Well, I don't want to say the names, but everybody who's in Honor Society, it's tomorrow at 4 p.m. So 9 a.m. live, 4 p.m. Honor Society, 8 p.m. The extended live. All right. After I go on my walk. That's it. Bella Red, you need to start showing up. We miss you. We need you. All right, loves. I'll see you guys all tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining. All right.